Okay, so this should be the last part of this game, because we've just witnessed a huge plot exposition.
She's gone, Booker. Anna's gone. You shared this room with your regret for almost 20 years. Until one day, a man came to you and offered you a chance at redemption. A chance for us to be together.
I told you it would work.
We already know it works. The question is, will he?
Anna. So sorry, Anna.
Do you suppose he branded himself as some sort of penance?
Should have.
Don't see the point. What's done is done. What's done will be done. I suppose the brand is his hair shirt, as he is ours.
Wipe away the debt. Bring us the girl. Wipe away the debt.
See? He's starting to put his story together.
Wipe away the
You're quite fond of this theory of yours.
He's manufacturing new memories from his old ones.
Well,
Wipe away
the brain adapts.
I should know.
Bring us
I
the girl.
lived it.
Wipe
Booker, wake up. Booker, wake up. This is where it started.
I sold you. I sold you.
To your credit, you did try to weasel out of the deal.
This is all Comstock's fault. What if I went back? Killed him before he did any of this?
Things get set in motion.
How would one know how far back to go?
That's the only way to do it. Go back to when he was born, and I'll smother this son of a bitch in his crib.
Well, kill the child. A baby. I'm game.
Booker, are you sure this is what you want?
I have to. It's the only way to undo what I've done to you.
Booker DeWitt, are you ready to
What
be
is this?
born again?
Why are we back here?
This isn't the same place, Booker.
Of course it is. I remember.
Are
Wait,
you ready to leave behind all
You're
that
not-
has gone before? Wipe the slate clean.
Who are
and
you?
start
You
anew.
chose to walk away,
Washed in
but in
the
other
blood
oceans,
of the Lamb.
you didn't. You took the
Do you
baptism.
hate your
And you were
sin?
born again as a different man.
Do you hate your
It all has to
wickedness?
end. To have never started. Not just in this world, but in all of ours.
Smother him in the crib.
Smother, 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 smother.
Again.
Before the choice is made. Before you are
And
reborn.
what name shall you take, my son?
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
No. I'm both.
Oh my god. Time fucking paradoxes. Oh. Wow. That is ridiculous. So that's the bad ending. They kill me. Oh, my brain. It cannot process this information. Holy crap. Wow. That. Wow. What a convoluted story this game has. one of the most unique story I have ever experienced in my life. It breaks every single rules and implementation we ever had on time traveling and paradoxes, but it is just an absolute mindfuck at the very end there. I was not expecting me to be Comstock. That is ridiculous. Well, I did the bad ending, obviously. Man. What a game. Let's start with my thoughts on the game, shall we? Let's start from graphics. I say this game has one of the most unique stage designs and environmental design, I should say, I have experienced in for a long time, since a long time. I mean, a floating city? That is amazing.
I may not always love you.
Okay. A quartet. Thank you. Gaia. Skip that. I highly doubt there's anything after the credits anyways. If there is, then oops. But yeah, I want to give you guys my thoughts on the game. And I will. So if you do want to listen, then do. If not, then I shall say goodbye to you right here. And I say thank you for watching my playthrough. A cheat through, actually. And I had tons of fun with it. I know cheat through might not have been the best choice for you guys, for like, you know, a playthrough, because I guess most people are more, you know, into like, oh, I wonder if he can actually play this game on hard difficulty without cheating. Well, I don't like challenge, as you guys know. I like to have fun in a game, and to have fun in most games that have things like mana or things that works or mana related, you know, things that, you know, allows you to cast certain abilities. I usually make my character have infinite amount of that, simply because it's so much more fun for me to play a character who I don't have to actually worry about so much in, like, you know, castings and all that stuff. But anyways, I'm glad that you followed through and watched all the way up until this part, and I hope to see you in another playthrough. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Anna?
Is that you?
About this game and give you my thoughts on it, then please do so. You're going to be watching and staring at the beautiful menu screen of the game. Let's start with the graphics. Like I said, this game has one of the most unique in stage and environmental design I have seen since Bioshock 1. I mean, Bioshock 1 was under the water, and Bioshock 3 basically is in the air. How awesome is that? And I love the different how should I say this? Fan appreciation? I don't know, like something that, you know, connects back to Bioshock 1, which is really cool in the game, like at the beginning of the game and definitely at the very end there. So a very awesome thing that if you play Bioshock 1, you're going to see a couple of things at the beginning and a couple of things at the end that reminds you of Bioshock 1. But back into the stage design and environmental design, I really do love the fact that you're flying on a flying city. You know, it's really quite awesome to see like this type of environment, but floating in midair with high technology around it. Because with Rapture, you're under the water and technology down there is already advanced. Here, you see buildings that are made of stone. You see things that are like in the 1800s and or 1700s. You know, it's really this mix of futuristic and history together, and I think it makes for a wonderful combination. You know, it's such a unique combination that from my experience, I have not seen another game that has done this, and it's really awesome. And the graphics, as you can see, is amazing. I love the way they did the graphics in this game. Not so keen on the eyes of women. That freaks me out just a little bit because their eyes are like anime eyes, and it's just big, gigantic, huge eyes on their face, and that just creeps me out when it's not in like anime drawings. So yeah, that creeps me out a little bit, but everything else was really well done. The texture in this game is okay, but the thing is, you don't really need a lot of texture in Bioshock Infinite simply because of the graphic style. It's supposed to be this sort of like, I would call it clay, but not clay, but watery kind of texture and art design. So I would compare it to Dishonored's art design. You don't need high texture qualities in these types of art design to make the game look good, because the game already looks good. So yeah, I really do like the graphics style of this game, and the environmental design and the setting of the entire game is amazing. The sound of this game is also amazing. The guns have huge kickback on it, and thank you for that. Like when you aim down sights with most guns and you fire a machine gun and you hold it down, your sight just jerks all the way up, even though it's in a straight line up. You know, it's not like extra realistic, but it's also has that little bit of realism to make it seem like the gun has this powerful kickback to it. Shotguns in this game, I wish they were a little bit stronger. I really do, because from what I've used of the shotguns, not very good. Why am I talking about weapon balance in a sound review part of this thought? Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. Sound. Amazing sound quality, amazing voice acting, and the environment has all sorts of sounds around it. You can just walk through a city, hear people chittering and chattering around you. You're in different parts of the city where everything is quiet, but you hear creaking and mechanical parts in the distance and electricity. It's amazing to hear all these environmental sounds. And the voice acting is also very great. What else? The music. I actually left the music on in this game. Sure, I did turn it down to a very minimal, but as you know me, most of the time I turn music off because I just hate music in most games. Okay, it just distracts so much from the game, especially when you're in the middle of a fight and suddenly battle music and some asshole is pounding on the drums. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, there's no need for this kind of music in games. And I usually turn it off. In this game, they didn't do that. They just have like nice jazz playing in the background, and sometimes music are turned off automatically, and that's amazing. And I think more games should work with music the way Bioshock Infinite is doing it. Don't use music to create sensation. A lot of games go down that route and play music to create this sensation of you are being pressed for time, or you are being attacked and you're being pushed back into a corner, or playing music to frighten you. This game doesn't do that. As you can see, like most of the last parts where I got scared from absolutely asinine reasons, but it wasn't because of some loud ass sounds playing in my ears. It was just because I was tense and I turned around and there's this asshole right behind me and I got scared. And most other games would play like a freaking horn in your ear, and you're scared not because of the thing that pop up out of nowhere. You're scared because of the sound that scared you. You know. So this game did really wonderful job with its sound. It didn't use it too much, so that when you're in the middle of combat, you hear some drums and guitar beats in the background. I didn't hear it, right? So it did sound overall very well done, and I really did like it. So moving on to that, let's talk about the gameplay. This gameplay, I think it has a lot of improvements on the gun and on the they call it, what is it, vigor, but you know, it's Eve hyper. I mean, yeah, it's basically abilities. It has major improvements on the gun, like I said before. Guns have amazing feel to it now. They're not just like these, I would call it, plastic guns anymore. In all the other Bioshock games, guns are just plastic. You can just hold that gun, and it's a like machine gun, and you can just hold it in place, and you can just shoot forever, and it'll hit that same target no matter how long you hold down the fire button. This game, not so much. You know, bullets start flying all over the place when you aim down sights. Your sight just jerks all the way up, and you have to readjust it. The guns feels amazing. What I am regrettable about the guns are that some of them are a bit weak. Okay, the sniper is okay. They feel really powerful when you're shooting people in the head. The pistol is okay. It's decently strong, but machine guns and basically any automatic guns feels really weak. I empty most of an entire clip into enemies before they actually die, which is not something I want, but necessarily in a Bioshock game, or in a game in particular, because that's just like a bullet spongy enemy, and that's not needed to be bullet spongy. Like, they're just regular enemies. They shouldn't be taking half a clip or almost a full clip to actually take down. One of the weakest guns in this game, in my opinion, is the shotgun. You can shoot somebody at close range with a shotgun, and they will live with one. Like, they will take 2 shots to kill somebody if you shoot them in the chest. And these are just regular enemies, by the way. So shotguns are really underpowered in this game. They need to make the shotgun stronger in a lot of games, especially when the games are single player, because you do not need to balance guns so that you have a multiplayer in mind. You know, you don't need to do that. When you're playing single player, you make the guns more realistic. If you're standing 2 feet away from someone and you have a shotgun, 1 shot should kill them. Let's be honest. 1 shot from a shotgun from 2 feet away, that would kill you. Okay, so that's a bit of a down on the gun part. Okay, so let's talk about the ability parts, or what they're calling here the vigor. A lot of changes. The fire ability is no longer flames, but it actually throws out a fire grenade. The electricity is no longer a lightning bolt. Well, it is. It is a lightning bolt, but the charge up of it is actually crystals, which lay like electricity traps on the floor that connects to each other, that stuns enemy when they walk into it, which is great. And they did, sadly, take away some of the ability. Like, I believe wind they took away. My favorite ability is telekinesis that they took away. My god, this game would be so much easier with telekinesis. They have so many rocket dudes. If I just had telekinesis, I can just shoot back every single rocket that are fired at me. But for some reason, they decided to take that out, and they actually split telekinesis into 2 different forms. Which is, I believe, in here is the stupid stallion thing that is basically an earthquake that moves on the ground, that knocks enemy into the air and levitates them. I believe that's is that wind? No, wind is pushing people, and that's water in this game. But yeah, they have some weird changes. Like, instead of water, okay, which looks horrendous, by the way, they should have kept it as wind. You can also have that same effect. Wind shoots out that grab people and bring them closer to you. That's fine. Okay, I don't mind that. But water, they didn't make the water look amazing. So in turn, that ability is just, I say, a down of the wind ability in Bioshock 2. Of course, in this game, they also have the Raven ability, which is the bees ability in Bioshock 2. And I like the bees better because they did a lot of reasonable damage. Okay? And there were a lot of them. The Raven ability, I'm not so keen on Ravens. I mean, they're cool and all, but they do barely no damage. And that's another thing that I have to say about the abilities of this game, is that the only major damaging ability in this game is fire. What? That is so stupid. In the other games, basically lightning can do decent damage that can kill people in mostly 1 or 2 shocks. And the bees ability can kill most people in 1 or 2 shocks. The wind ability can kill people by setting a trap on the floor and they just bounce them up into like the ceiling and then they die from that. So there's lots more damaging abilities in Bioshock 2 than there is in Bioshock Infinite. Bioshock Infinite does have the Bull Rush ability, which I think that's what it's called, but whatever. It basically launches you towards the enemy and melees it. Good. I did like that. That is basically the second Bioshock game with the drill ability that launches you towards the enemy and drills them to death, you know? So there is some abilities that are questionable, and I did not like that they remove a lot of abilities. But then again, it did change up the gameplay a lot, in that fire is not fire anymore and lightning works differently. So the ability did change a little bit in comparison to Bioshock 2, which makes the gameplay a little bit different, and I think that's a refresher for me. I wouldn't want to use the same ability that I've used twice already in 2 other games, you know? So I'm glad they did change up the abilities. Alright, so finally, we're going to talk about the story. Now, this is my favorite part of this entire game. Unfortunately, the game started off very slow. I say 4 hours into the game, that's when the story starts picking up for me. Okay, I started actually getting into the story after 4 hours of play. And unfortunate, but you know, in the first 4 hours, I was exploring everything. I was looking over all the stuff that I was doing. It was cool. So it flew by really quickly. However, you know, looking back on it, I really did wish that they made that a little bit shorter, maybe 2 hours, and then the story start picking up right away instead of like 4 hours. But yeah, the story is basically convoluted and confusing and just a complete mindfuck if you're not paying attention to the story of the game. And even if you are like me, and at the end I'm like, what is going on? It's like all these dimensions, all these worlds, all these different possibilities. And then it turns out I was the biggest villain of all in this entire game, which is true because I went around the entire game killing innocent people for no absolute reason other than to kill innocent people, and I killed everyone I actually could have helped. So yeah, it's obviously an evil playthrough. So the turnout wasn't as unexpected for me because I was playing it that way, and but overall, I did like how one thing did surprise me at the end was that, okay, so spoiler, but if you're watching this anyways, and hence why I'm doing it at like the final part of the game, you should already know the story, okay? So if you don't want to listen to this, it is major spoiler, but you should already watch it. It is in my playthrough, you know? The spoiler is, I was fighting myself. I was so surprised by that. Comstock is actually me, which is ridiculous. I was not expecting at all. Sure, I expected Elizabeth to be my daughter. That was pretty obvious, you know, after like 2 hours or 3 hours of being with her. It's like, oh, like at the very first moment when you were drowning and Elizabeth was reviving you through CPR and you started calling Anna, I was like, wow, that was like a huge giveaway to that Elizabeth is your daughter, or this Anna person that you're looking for. And later on in the game, yeah, you find out that Anna is your daughter, so you're like, oh, so Elizabeth's my daughter. It's not very, you know, hidden there, but what's what I find really interesting and very intriguing is that how they explain the reason why you are Comstock is because you made one choice, one different choice than every other version of you, and is that you did not go through with the baptism, and Comstock did. Comstock is you, and Comstock is a version of you who went through that baptism, and the you that you're playing now didn't go through the baptism. So how these two worlds collided into each other is beyond me. That part of the game I completely did not get, but I did get why, you know, there's they did explain why there's two versions of myself, and because of that one difference in decision, you know, it created these two different versions of myself, which is really intriguing. I really do like paradox theories and time, you know, past and present and future events theories, or whatever you want to call it. Time-space continuum theory, or yeah, that theory over there. It intrigues me on how different people can have different takes on what can affect other parallel universes, or what can affect different time periods. It's really interesting to me, and I think they did a very decent job in explaining how that works. So the story for me is an excellent. So let's go to the final thing of this game, which is restating what I think is good about this game and what I think it wasn't good about this game. Let's start about good, okay? Like I said, very unique setting to this game. Extremely unique setting in a flying city. That has a old style buildings to it. So it's amazing. It's a combination of the two of these past time 1800s buildings and centuries and all this you know, old be after the Civil War, after all these fightings when George Washington is out. It's basically colonial US style buildings combined with these modern technology to make this very unique combination that I find very enlightening. So that's a plus. Another thing that I do like about this game, like I said, it's the sound. Amazing music. I really did like that they did not overuse music to amplify the situation and to create feelings out of you through music. Music is there as a, I would say, it literally is background music. That is what music in Bioshock Infinite is. Background music, and I love that. I don't know about you guys, but I hate it when music are just completely unnecessary in games. Just drums and guitar solos playing in the background just because enemies are around you. I do not like that. But this game didn't do that. I didn't hear any of that, which is amazing, and I really did like that part about the game. Another part of the sound that I like is the amazing voice acting and amazing sound effects to the game. That is very well done. Alright? And I also like how they changed the gameplay on the guns and on the abilities or the vigors to vary up the gameplay. They did not do what most other companies I think would, is repetition. They did not use the same abilities that they used in the past two games, and I find that very refreshing. That is a very good thing, because I played the past two games to smithereens. I played each of those games at least twice, okay? I probably played the first one 3 times. So fire and electricity, I have used over and over and over again, and you know, I like the way they changed it in this game. It's really refreshing. And like I said just recently, story is amazing. It's very complex and is very satisfying at the very end to find out all these things actually tied together. And I don't know if some of your decision actually affects things. For example, I picked a cage at the very beginning of the game as my as the pendant that she's wearing. I don't know if that actually affected the note that she got from her other self, because it's also a cage on there. So I wonder if I picked a bird, would that be different? You know, it would probably lead to the same outcome, but it would be nice to have that minor details in the game. And so the story is very complex, very amazing. I really did love the story. Alright, so those are all the things that I like about this game. Let's talk about some of the things I didn't like about this game. I did not like some of the guns are very underpowered. Like I said, the automatic guns and the shotguns are extremely underpowered for me. I mainly use pistols and single shotguns because they pack a lot more punch and they're able to kill things a lot quicker than machine guns. Disappointing that guns are not balanced outright. Some guns are obviously better than others. Even though I do like the variation on powers, I do not like the fact that they removed my favorite power of all, which is telekinesis. Okay, they should have not removed that. That should have been a power that they should have kept, but change in a minor way. I also did not like some of the new powers that they added into the game, and I also did not like how the fact that there's the fire ability is practically the only ability that does major damage to enemies, and all the other abilities are just support. I did not like that fact. So yeah. And I also did not like the fact that the game takes 4 hours to actually start it to pick up the story for me. You know, they could have reduced it down to 2 hours. After 2 hours of, like, you know, exploring the very beginning of the game, like you pace yourself throughout the beginning game, 2 hours. The story should have picked up immediately, but it took 4 hours. Basically, it took the amount of time that it took me to get to Elizabeth. Okay, that's when the story picked up for me. And that took quite a long time. 4 hours, I think it was 4 hours, but yeah. So those are the things I didn't like about the game. Oh, wait, wow. One last thing I want to say before I give it my final score is that this game did take me, let's see, I woke up at 4 o'clock to play this game, and now it's 5 o'clock. I did not take any breaks at all during the game. Maybe 5 minutes break in between, like 2 hours of gameplay now and then. But it's 5 o'clock. So I'm going to say this game took me roughly 12 to 13 hours to complete. And that is an amazing deal, in my opinion. A 12 to 13 hour game that is very unique, very good to play, very smooth, and have a really exciting story. Very good time there for the entire game. Decent length. Alright, so those are all my pros and cons, and the reasons why for each pros and each con. Now I want to give you guys a final score. Now remember, this is my personal score. It's a my thought score, so it may not, you know, represent any other factor other than what I like about the game and why, you know, basically this is my score. That's what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it as that. So out of a number scale to 10, I would say that this game, for me, gets a 9 out of 10. The reason why it didn't get a full 10 out of 10 is because of the cons. There are things that I didn't like about this game. Now, in a perfect universe, all those things would not be there, but sadly, I don't have Elizabeth with me, so she can open a tear into a perfect universe. So this game gets a 9 out of 10 from me. Which means I'm probably going to play it again. Probably not going to record it, but probably going to play it again just to see the good ending. Or I'm going to look it up on YouTube. Either one. So I'm going to probably play this game again eventually, sometime, and do a good playthrough of it in my own time. So that's why I'm giving it a 10. It has a replayability value and a decently length game. Very good game. I do recommend you go and get it. It is extremely fun to play. Now, you don't have to get the other 2 games. You don't have to play Bioshock 1. You don't have to play Bioshock 2 to actually have a good experience in Bioshock Infinite. So, don't worry about that. So, yeah. A 9 out of 10 from me. And that is my thoughts on Bioshock Infinite. If you guys have sat through all of that, now you know my full and complete personal feelings about this game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gives you some perspective on if you would like to get this game or not. And I hope you enjoyed the playthrough once again, and I hope that you enjoyed the cheat through, actually, because I think, my personal opinion, a cheat through for these type of game is much better. It keeps the combat flowing instead of me dying over and over. I do not like a challenge in a game. I'm not that type of person who go out and look for challenging games. I go out and look for good games. And good games does not mean challenging games, okay? So I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I'm glad that you sat through this entire review of mine. And I hope to see you in another playthrough of mine. And I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. See ya.